This is the story of Elizabeth Eckford, a young girl who challenged segregation as a part of the group known as Little Rock Nine. Elizabeth was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. She was the daughter of Oscar and Bertie Eckford. As she was growing up, she lived in a time period where there was lots of segregation. Whites were very racist towards blacks, as she was considered a minority. Segregation meant that they were looked down upon. Contrary to our lives today, back then, schools were also segregated. White people had their own schools, and black people were forced to go to schools that they didn't really want to. And though most blacks accepted their lifestyles, some decided to speak out against it. There was about to be a huge change. On May 17, 1954, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren declared that sanctioned segregation of public schools was a violation of the 14th Amendment, and he declared it to be unconstitutional. On September 2, 1957, Governor Orville Faubus called upon the Arkansas National Guard. He intended on keeping African Americans out of the schools. He claimed it to be for the protection of the students, to protect them against violence and bloodshed. Though now legal, African Americans were still very scared to go into white schools. That was until 9 students stepped up and decided to be the first 9 students to try and integrate into a white school. The students were Ray, Roberts, Patel, Thomas, Walls, Mothershed, Brown, Eckford, and Green. On September 4th, 8 of them arrived in a car with Bates. Eckford's family did not have a phone, so they couldn't be part of the organized carpool. The Arkansas National Guard prevented the Little Rock Nine from entering the school. Shown here is a picture of Elizabeth Eckford being ridiculed and name-called by all the other white students. Within the next few weeks, Judge Davies began some legal proceedings against Governor Faubus. President Eisenhower also tried to convince Faubus. Then on September 20th, Davies finally ordered the National Guard to be removed from the school. The Little Rock Police Department then took over the security of the school and the Little Rock Nine. On September 23rd, the police escorted Little Rock Nine through almost 1,000 protesters. But because of rioting, they were removed from the premises. Little Rock Nine attended their first full school day on September 25th. Governor Faubus still didn't want them there. But just attending the school was the least of the students' problems. Many kids had lots of difficulty integrating into this new school. For example, Patel was kicked, beaten, and had acid thrown on his face. He wasn't the only one with troubles, though. There were many other students being tortured because of their skin color. Little Rock Nine were also not able to do extracurricular activities. In February of 1958, Brown was expelled for retaliation. He finally had enough and decided to retaliate to the attacks. Not just the students, but also the students' families were affected. Ray's mom was fired from her job because she refused to take her daughter out of the school. But throughout all these hardships, they persevered. Some students had dropped off because of the difficulty of integrating, but some of them stayed. On May 25th of 1956, the only senior of the Little Rock Nine had finally graduated. Who would have ever thought that now, in 2016, racial diversity is finally accepted? We have come a very long way from back then, and we are still proceeding in the right direction.